What do you do when you know you're called, but your life doesn't look like what you thought that calling would look like? You feel it. There's something in you, a drive, a pull, a sense that your life is supposed to matter. You know you're not average. You know you were created to do more, not just to exist, but instead of standing on a stage or holding a microphone or whatever you think it's supposed to look like, you're sitting in a meeting. Instead of holding a microphone, you're handling responsibilities. Instead of, well, I just thought if I was called, if I was anointed, I'd be preaching a sermon. No, you're solving problems. And quietly, you started asking yourself, did I miss it? What if I'm not really called? I thought there was something there. What if I got it wrong? Let me help you right now. What if the issue isn't your calling? What if the issue is your expectation? What if you're, so I find so many people that think this person has a calling and they try to put them into a ministry or try to put them into a church setting, and that's not what they're called to do. What if you're called not to a pulpit? You're not behind. What if you're just being built? You're called to a boardroom. You're called to be a CEO. You're called to do something to make an impact. We're going to talk about it today.
Welcome to the Dave Martin Podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dave Martin, your success coach, and I believe this episode is going to bring some confirmation to somebody today. Not confusion, confirmation. Okay? So I hope you're ready. Don't forget to share this with someone. Take just a minute, subscribe. Let me know where you're watching from today. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're at. And I believe we're going to have a great time, because there are people right now that are called, but they're questioning. There have been seasons in my life, I know, where I wasn't preaching. I wasn't on a stage. I was working at a bank. I wasn't on the stage. I was in rooms solving problems. I wasn't in front of a crowd. I was helping leaders think clearer, helping organizations function better, helping. And I remember thinking, this doesn't look like what I thought I was called to do. This doesn't look what I thought my calling would be like. And I had this picture in my mind of a platform, a microphone, visibility. But what I was actually doing was carrying weight. I mean, not as much weight as I'm carrying now. It was a few years ago. Not that kind of weight. I know what you're thinking. But listen, I didn't realize at the time that I wasn't off track. I was in training. A lot of people know that they're called, but they just don't know what they're called to. They feel it early. There's something different about them. They think differently. They see things differently. They carry responsibility differently. They walk into environments and think, this could be better. There's a smarter way to do this. This isn't operating at its full potential. Some of you don't just notice problems. You've built a full-time career out of noticing them. You walk into a room like, this is insufficient. That's not structured right. This process makes no sense. I've got a friend like this, worked for Disney World for years. We walk in anywhere, and all this, he notices every customer service problem that they've got. Everything else, like, well, everyone else is just like, can we just eat first before you find all the problems? I remember sitting with them going, look, let's just eat, and then you can tell them that that's not negativity. It's awareness, and awareness is often the beginning of calling. His calling was to help people lift the level of their customer service, but because people have only seen calling one way, they tried to force their life into this mold that doesn't fit. So now you've got leaders trying to be preachers, and builders trying to be pastors, and entrepreneurs trying to be evangelists. And yes, you can do both, but it creates this tension because you feel the call, but the expression feels off. You're not confused about your calling. You're confused about your placement. I think of Joyce Meyer. If you look at Joyce Meyer, when she first felt called by God, she didn't step into a global stage of arenas full of people. She didn't start with a conference or books or television ministry that reached around the world. She just started with a little Bible study in her living room. Think about that. She had a calling. She had a message. She had a voice. But the expression didn't look like what people would consider significant. And here's what could have happened. She could have looked at the small setting that she was in. She could have looked at her little living room there and thought, this is it. There's got to be more. This isn't all there is. This isn't it, is it? This is too small. This doesn't look like a calling. But instead, she stayed faithful in her lane, teaching, serving, growing, developing her voice. And over time, that small room turned into a global impact. Her first women's conference had 30-something people. Her last one had 30-something thousand people. Books translated around the world. Television ministry reaching millions. Influence across nations. But don't miss this. The impact didn't start on a platform. It started with her getting in alignment. She didn't grow into influence by chasing visibility. She grew in influence by staying faithful in her assignment. And some of you, that's where the frustration is coming from. You're looking at your environment, you're looking at where you are currently, and you're thinking, this can't be it. But what if it is? What if the small room is the training ground? What if the responsibility you're carrying is just preparation? You don't outgrow frustration by changing environments. You outgrow it by aligning with your assignment. Frustration is often the signal of misalignment. It's like a surgeon trying to fly an airplane. They're highly skilled, they're highly trained, but not in that seat. You put a highly trained surgeon in a pilot seat, it's dangerous, even though they're skilled, because calling is not just about capability, it's about placement. And some of you, you're not failing because you're not gifted. You're frustrated because you're trying to function in a role that God never assigned to you. Not because you're wrong, but because you're out of position. Look at Saul, King Saul, called, chosen, anointed, but in a moment of pressure, he stepped into a role that wasn't his. And he tried to function as a priest. And instead of staying in his assignment as a king, Scripture says, you have done a foolish thing. He didn't lose it because he lacked calling. He lost it because he stepped outside of alignment. You don't lose calling by lack of effort. You lose it by stepping out of assignment. Let me help you. The call you have is real. The confusion is in the expression. God doesn't call everyone to do the same thing. I can't be you. You can't be me. He doesn't call us all. He doesn't call everyone to do the exact same thing. And here's where people miss it with this. They think calling is about position, but calling is about assignment. It's about purpose. You're not called to a title. You're called to make an impact. Titles change. Positions shift. Roles evolve. But assignment stays consistent. Joseph's title changed. Joseph was a slave. Then he was a prisoner. Then he was prime minister. Title changed, but his assignment to lead, to manage, to solve problems, none of that ever changed. As a slave, as a prisoner, as the prime minister. David's title, shepherd, warrior, king. His assignment, lead and protect. Assignment never changed. So stop asking, what title am I supposed to have? Some of you don't need a new title. You need to master the one you already have. What impact am I designed to have? What impact am I designed to make? And there are people right now that are running companies, managing teams, building systems, and they think, I'm not in ministry. But what they don't realize is they are influencing people in a powerful way every single day through their decisions, through their leadership. They're making a difference through culture. And when you begin to understand that, let's expand it for just a minute. Let me expand that. Because influence is not always loud, but it is always happening. Every decision you make creates direction for someone else. Every standard you set becomes normal for someone else. Every action that you model becomes permission for someone else. You don't have to be on a stage to have influence. You just have to be in proximity to people. Think about this. The average leader, whether it's in business or church or an organization, can directly impact, 10 people, 50? Let's say 100 people a week. The average person, whether it's in business, church, organization, the average leader. Now multiply that. If you multiply that, 10, 50, 100 people a week, these people go home to families. They interact with coworkers. They influence communities. What you carry doesn't stop with you, it spreads. Influence is not addition, it's multiplication. Look at Truett Cathy. Truett Cathy is the founder of Chick-fil-A. He wasn't known for preaching on stages. He wasn't traveling the world as an evangelist. He was building a business. And not just any business, a business with values, closed on Sundays, prioritizing people, creating a culture of honor. Now think about the reach of that. Thousands of employees, thousands of locations, millions of customers every year. And every single one of those environments carries a standard. Serve with excellence, treat people with honor, lead with integrity, influence, ministry. Everyone knows Chick-fil-A, they're closed on Sunday. They're a Christian organization. He's not preaching from the pulpit. That's influence. It's from a system, not from a pulpit, from a system. Some people preach messages. Some people build environments that carry the message. And some of you, you're doing that right now in meetings, in decisions, and how you lead people. You're shaping culture, whether you realize it or not. So don't minimize where you are. Don't overlook what you've been given, because every decision that you make is setting a standard. Every conversation that you have is shaping someone. You may not see the full reach of your influence, but heaven does. And that's not less spiritual than preaching a sermon to a church. It's just a different expression. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to minister in the marketplace. I love it. I love it. I've had opportunity to speak in church, but I've only been a pastor for a few short years. My expression, my gift is in the marketplace, raising up, encouraging, helping leaders make decisions and build and coach along the way, help them get a map from where they are to where they're going. Just a different expression, a king and a priest. But you've got to know your gift. You've got to know your calling. Ministry is not confined to a platform. It's expressed through influence. Once you understand assignment, you stop chasing positions and you start developing capacity. If you chase titles, you're going to stay frustrated. If you build capacity, you're going to gain influence. And some people want visibility without responsibility. They want a platform without the pressure. They want a microphone without the weight of what comes with it. But calling is not proven in what people see, it's proven in what you carry. So let me say something that might challenge you a little bit. There are individuals who claim titles, right? But don't walk in the responsibility of those titles. I know people who say they're pastors, but they don't pastor. They love the idea of preaching, but not the reality of people. Because pastoring is not just standing on a stage. It's knowing names, it's carrying burdens, it's showing up in moments that nobody else sees. It's the late night calls, it's the hospital visits, it's the follow-up that nobody applauds. It's the protection of the sheep. If you want the title, my goodness, you got to carry the weight. Because the truth is, titles don't make you responsible. Responsibility reveals whether you deserve the title. Let that sit there just for a minute. There are people who want to be seen. but don't want to be stretched. They want influence. They don't want accountability. They want recognition, but they don't want the pressure. And that's why they stay stuck. You don't grow into calling through visibility. You grow into calling through responsibility. Let's take it even further, because this isn't just about pastors. There are leaders who want authority, but they avoid the hard decisions. There's business owners who want success, but they won't develop systems. There are people in every space who want outcomes without taking ownership, and it doesn't work that way. It doesn't happen that way. You can't separate impact from responsibility, because the very thing you're asking God for requires the very weight you're trying to avoid. Let me say that. Let me say that again. The next level you're praying for comes with pressure that you haven't embraced yet. I think about this. Everybody wants to be the CEO until it's time for payroll, right? Everybody wants to lead until something goes wrong. Everybody wants the spotlight until responsibility shows up with the spotlight. The platform reveals you, but responsibility builds you. So instead of asking, how do I get seen? Ask, how well am I stewarding what I've been given right now? Because God's not looking for people who can perform. He's looking for people who can carry. Calling is not proven in visibility. It's proven in responsibility. And if you carry it, you'll eventually be trusted with more. If you avoid it, you'll keep chasing something that you're not ready for. Don't ask for a platform if you're not willing to carry the weight that comes with it. Calling's not proven by what you say, it's proven by what you carry. Your calling shows up in patterns. What am I called to? What bothers you? Maybe that's a clue. What excites you? What do you feel responsible for? What comes naturally to you? All those are clues. All those are keys, because your calling is often revealed through what you notice, through what you're drawn to, through what you're good at, through what you can't ignore. All those aren't random. It's part of the design. It's part of the design. What you're drawn to fix is what you're designed to influence. So let me speak real directly to you. You are called, not later, not when things change, not when life looks different. Right now, you're called. Yeah, you're not just called to look like someone else. And the moment you stop trying to copy someone else is the moment you'll start getting clarity into what you're called to do. When you understand that, when you get the clarity, now your job makes sense. Now your role has purpose. Now your influence has direction, because you realize, I'm not here by accident. But I don't want to do this. This isn't what I feel called. You're not there by accident. You're not just working a job. You're walking into an assignment. I hope that helped you. I'm out of time today. We're going to pick back up on this some more. I can't wait to start getting into some different types of anointings that we'll find in the marketplace on our lives. But today, subscribe, share this with someone who you know needs a little bit of clarity. Share it with them. And then, of course, drop a comment. Let me know what you got out of this, how it spoke to you today. I love hearing from you, and I do read all the comments, okay? What are we going to say today? At the end of every one of these, we're making a little declaration. Say this with me. Say, I am called, and I don't need a title to prove it. Come on, one more time. Say, I'm called, and I don't need a title to prove it, okay? Next episode, we're going to talk about why what you do every day carries weight, okay? This is where everything starts to elevate. So just stick with me. Let's keep going, and I'll see you next week as we keep talking about the marketplace anointing. You are anointed for business.